Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 286. Hello out there, this is your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, for a very prestige podcast. By the way, this is a non-canon episode of the Simpsons Index, so we're all going to die at the end.
Finally.
We may not all make it.
I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, joined here as always, except when he's not, by BT Calloway.
Elliot, I don't wish to alarm you in a dramatic fashion, but someone seems to have stolen all your amiibos.
Oh my god, the amiibo wall.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That's it. This is the result of a non-canon episode, man.
I don't like it. I don't cope well with change.
We're all going to die. There's no amiibos on the wall. I wonder if the room tone will sound slightly different because, you know, the sound waves have always been bouncing off, you know,
like
Mario and his
several
friends.
plastic figures. You at home, can you tell the difference? Write in somewhere.
And also joined by Danny Rosewell.
I'm Danny Rosewell. Danny Rosewell.
A non-canonical Danny Rosewell.
Oh, this is the remix.
Yeah.
I'll only appear on the live edition of
It's
this.
He just says it.
like-
He just says it once, and we repeat it in post.
Ha!
It's set over like one of those like bluesy, drony, typical like prestige Showtime HBO show. And then I've been Danny Rosewell.
There's a shot of like a bar stage with no one there, just like a bottle of Jack, and it's presumed that I'm in the bathroom somewhere throwing up.
Yeah.
He's in the bathroom throwing up. Let me start this story for you. There was once a fella by the name of Danny Rosewell.
And as you can tell from the slightly off-canon appearance and the same characters but in a slightly different setting and, you know, the title of the podcast here that you clicked on,
All those clues.
we are reviewing A Serious Flanders Part 1, which is its own show, but it is also Season 33, Episode 6 of The Simpsons, which is
Coincidentally.
related to this, I think.
Tangentially.
Because, yeah, we don't get The Simpsons at the start of this episode.
No.
We get someone scrolling, some omnipotent being scrolling onto the Simplex app. Not a streaming service I've heard of.
It could be us, but it's not.
I mean, was I controlling it or was it controlling me?
Beautiful, man.
Simplex just sounds like an offshoot of OnlyFans, not gonna lie.
Hey there, Simps. Yeah, like the
Yes.
nomenclature
Yes.
is built right into it. It's like
Yep.
Twitter and tweets, you know. Simplex and the simps that sign up to it. Yeah, anyway, it was directed by Debbie Bruce Mahan, written by Cesar Mazariegos. In this episode...
Non-canon episode.
Yeah, it's called A Serious Flanders. It's like doing basically a parody of Fargo, not the movie, the TV series. Yes, The Simpsons is old enough that they could have done a Fargo
Yeah.
parody back in the day.
Could go either way.
Yeah, guys, first of all, have either of you seen Fargo the series?
No.
Unfortunately not. I'm ashamed to admit it because it's on my TDL.
Yeah, the ever-growing watch later pile.
Yeah.
Largle Bargle. I couldn't think of anything witty that started with an L. What's something sexy that starts with an L? Right in.
Lingerie.
Oh my god.
Lesbians.
Ah,
Yeah, the L word.
Lager. Mr. Lager.
he is sexy.
Pretty fucking sexy.
He's sexy in a disgusting kind of way.
I'm so sorry, guys. Where were we?
BT, what? I've been asking you this a lot on our other podcast, starring Springfield. What just happened?
A lot of things. So Rich Texan gets his face removed by a hitman.
Pretty fucking permanently.
Pretty permanent. That face removal is
He
permanent,
did not
kids.
survive
Everyone
the
remember
experience.
that
I'm pretty certain.
before you get your face removed with that new love interest of yours. Remember, that shit's permanent.
Yeah.
Do not try this at home.
Employers look down on face removal. Yeah, and then in doing so, but meanwhile, Ned is out frolicking, collecting some garbage in the forest, and he falls down into a log and finds a bunch of money in an old Pan Am bag. But Pan Am's not been an airline for a good long while. He donates it to charity, only to find out this debt collector, apparently, once upon a time, his grandfather, Ned Flanders the first time we are hearing of anyone that this is Ned Flanders the second.
Yep.
Ned Flanders the first apparently owed this man all that money for reasons, and the debt collector sees it as now Ned's debt. And in trying to do so, the witless thugs that work for the debt collector grab Homer instead, and Homer is now in their filthy grasp.
Yes.
Ned needs to get him out. End episode.
Yeah, so that's the
Hard
other thing.
cut, the end.
As it aired, this is because as it's presented on Disney One, because this is a part 1 and 2, it is presented as one episode on Disney Plus, but it did air as 2. So
like Kill Bill 1 and Kill Bill 2.
Yeah. And, even though it would be convenient to just, play both Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 for me.
In this beautiful age of streaming?
Exactly. I'm annoyed. I really wish they would break it up like they did because,
If Netflix made you wait a week before you watch the sequel.
I would like that.
I
Sometimes
would
they do.
hate that shit.
I'm fine with that shit.
Oh,
I'm back to loving a weekly release now.
Build some
Dude.
suspense. Let me imagine.
it blue balls me so hard.
He's not wearing pants, and I can confirm those balls are blue.
Well, the other thing that this episode does as, attempts to emulate prestige television, your HBOs, your Showtimes, that golden age and all that. Yeah, it cherry-picked, a few guest stars from various prestige shows. Brian Cox is playing
Brian
Costas.
Cox is in it.
Yeah, Costas Becker.
Oh, of
He's
course.
the Bernie face guy, right?
I guess.
He hasn't said yet. He hasn't mentioned, but presumably.
Yeah, I thought that was Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Not the science one. There's a science one, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing. I'm like, that didn't sound anything like Mr. Science Face.
Oh, that's Bill
No.
Nye.
No, he's
science
the.
guy.
You haven't seen Succession, have you?
I've not seen anything, Elliot.
It's pronounced Secession.
Have
Yeah.
you seen Succession?
I have
Szechuan?
not seen Szechuan. Have you seen Secession? Secession? Szechuan
He has, I
chicken?
believe.
That
Szechuan.
one.
Oh, that guy. He's in
Bill
things.
Nye.
Yeah.
Science guy.
Brian Cox, the
Brian
Succession
Cox.
guy.
Yeah, no, he
Yep.
was in Doctor Who, I believe.
Was he?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I think he was someone's grandpa.
Yeah, he's everyone's grandpa.
Well, yeah. That's
Look at
a
his photo.
safe
You'll
bet.
feel a warm, familial relation.
And also, prestige Hollywood film actor Joe Mantegna as Fat Tony.
Ooh.
As seen in Baby's Day Out, available on Starring Springfield.
Yep,
The Joe Mantegna was in it.
absolutely. From many movies.
He's also in Three Amigos, available on Starring Springfield.
Fucking Three Amigos? He's the guy?
Yeah, he's in.
Not that guy.
Oh, he's not that
He's
guy.
the film executive at the beginning.
Yeah, he's in the room with John Lovitz and
Come on, brain. Come on, brain.
Bill Hartman.
I do remember John Lovitz being there.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hartman was there too? Shit, man. That
Yeah.
movie's got fucking everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. Oh, I'm going
Yeah,
to go
they're
back.
the Three Amigos: Joe Mantegna, John Lovitz, and Phil
Yes,
Hartman.
dear God, I would watch that. Oh. Oh.
And Timothy Oliphant is also in it. He's playing Sheriff Flanders. Oh, his grandpa, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, Timothy Oliphant. Hitman's Timothy Oliphant.
Do like Timothy Elephant.
Timothy Elephant.
You know, in
Yeah.
that fucking Heaven series where he turns up and everyone's just like, damn, that guy's hot.
He is.
And then he just like winks at you and you're like, ooh, he is kind of hot. Oh.
I didn't think so before, but now.
That's why it was so weird putting him in Hitman. It's like, it's everything about his face. The hair, the eyes, the everything.
Right.
Like, making him the bold Hitman. What
None
a
of the
choice.
others have seen it. Have you guys seen his zombie show? I really like the zombie one.
Oh, the Drew Barrymore
I really
one?
liked it.
Dead Don't Die.
Yeah,
what it was?
no, it was something.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I watched one episode and wanted to slap it in the face.
There was a bit of that.
Yeah.
But I got so into it and it was
You kind of get on board with like a bit of campiness in it.
Yeah.
I
Ah,
reckon.
okay. Fair
it's
enough. Oh,
campy.
he's one.
It's
he's
like
the guy from
it's like the
Scream.
good part of
Yeah.
Weeds, the first season, where you just start liking them and everything just goes wronger. Except there's zombies in it.
And Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah. Andrew Barrymore, I don't mind her. She's all right.
Yeah, she was a bit of fun
She
in
was in
that.
that thing that we liked.
There's E.T.
Yeah, vampire movie. I like the vampire one.
You're thinking of Kirsten Dunst in Interview the Vampire.
Oh, that wasn't Drew Barrymore?
No, it wasn't Drew Barrymore.
Man, I bet she was good in that other thing, though.
Oh,
like
she's probably
E.T.,
good
for
in that.
example.
This is going to sound like a plug for our other podcast, but like
Starring
Hey,
Springfield, available on Patreon.com.
hey,
Give us your
Elliot,
money.
we've weirdly reviewed a lot of Kirsten Dunst movies,
Yeah.
like Dick and Small Soldiers.
Yep.
Anyway,
Really?
sorry.
Hey, Elliot, you know how you're talking about doing a lot of cutting in this show to make it stream faster? Make it more streamlined?
We're only
Jesus
11 minutes in.
Christ.
We're just
just-
vamping
anyway,
about
welcome
nothing. We
back to
haven't
the
started the
Kirsten
fucking
Dunst
episode.
Index.
We're an hour in. Okay, so
Yeah, also Chris O'Dowd was in it. He's an IT guy. And
Oh, yeah.
Jessica
Oh,
Perry, she was
Oh, yeah.
Megan Draper, and she played Colette in this.
Megan.
Megan Draper.
I don't know. It's just fun to yell.
oh.
I was throwing
Like
to you then because I hoped you'd seen Mad Men.
I have.
Don Draper and oh, that's what that does.
And now we're going to hear from Shag's crotch.
Love that band.
You know, I have a button that suddenly mics up my crotch.
Hey, Shag's crotch, what stood out to you for better or worse from the episode?
We get butt dialed
Just in
enough
case of
from him.
emergencies, man. Just in case of emergencies. There's a button that mics up my crotch. Hey, is there a mic crotch here? Let me check.
Push the button. That's an amazing visual gag for everyone at home.
That silenced my crotch having nothing to contribute. I'm so sorry, guys. Cut this. Cut all of this.
No, we're pivoting to a video podcast.
Yeah, that was pretty. Visually, that was hilarious.
I'm so sorry, guys.
We should really include some audio description into our podcast. We'll put it in the commentary
Oh,
track.
man, the subtitles. You know how when the subtitles are just like speaking in Spanish?
Yeah.
Incomprehensible
Crotch
gibberish.
intensifies.
I imagine your crotch just speaks Spanish.
Paige, what stands out to you from this episode?
A lot of people are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really
Oh,
took the
dude.
non-canon and just like used a bunch of hand
Which,
cannons
like,
and just boom.
if you didn't know that, and to be fair, there's not a lot of indicator to it, other than, it's a different style when it boots up, but they've done style parodies before that have been canon. So, Rich Texan loses his face.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The
And
whole
they did
mob
not
gets shot.
fucking pull back,
Yeah,
did they?
No.
Disco Stew is dead. Mr.
Yeah,
Burns'
dead
head
as
was
shit.
apparently made of confetti.
That was a bit...
That kind of stood out to me, but
And apparently Fat Tony got turned into a donut head.
yeah.
A move that even Snake, that was just
Step
too
2
much,
on the
man.
recipe was turn face into donut. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what that entailed, but
Oh,
apparently
look,
it panned out.
there is something very funny about having a career criminal walk into a crime scene and be like, "Oh my god!"
Yes. Yeah, it was a strong reaction.
But the lead up to that with Fat Tony going, "Why are you doing this? What are you doing?" Oh, I see. That's very clever.
Yeah,
Like,
real big pat on the back there. Ooh, why are you dipping my face in batter? Why are
that's
you
so
putting
creative.
sprinkles on me?
is it clever? Like,
No.
Clever is not the word I'd be using here.
Yeah, it should have been much more of a, oh, you know what? I should have seen this coming.
yeah.
Yes.
They certainly took liberties with the death, but Danny Rosewell, what stands out to you for better or worse?
To be honest, I'm going to broad picture say this whole episode was beautifully like camera angled and like
They are harping Coen brothers, so.
Yeah, and they leaned into that in a beautiful way, man. All the nitpicking and shit aside, it was really artfully shot, and it made me think of all the big directors. There were like in the camera, in
cinematography.
cinematography. It's the word. It was the word I was looking for. I was thinking of the start when he was just going through the forest and picking up pine cones and shit, or the over the top with the footprints through the snow. I really liked all the shots through the coffee shop. Cafe is the word. These beautiful over the shoulders, or like the gun close ups and the zooms and the whatnot. And then when they were doing the shooting bit, the shooty bits.
I do know the shooting bit.
Man, I just
pew
loved
pew and the bang
watching
bangs.
it. There were some really interesting Dutch angles if we're using some lay talk, which is sort of, I believe it's the low shot and the up one.
No.
No?
Dutch angle is when you tilt the camera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then I'm not
They're
thinking
just putting a low point perspective.
yeah, I guess so. I'm thinking of a different shot entirely. Never mind.
But no, they did, like, while they indulged in killing off a lot of our regular favorite characters.
And they made sure you didn't forget. They made sure you didn't forget for a second. Oh, this is non-canon, isn't it? They can do whatever the fuck
Like,
they
fellas,
want.
we cut off a man's face. The gloves are off and in the glove compartment.
And that's one of the clues you got to look out for in the next episode.
Oh.
But no, they really did, like, make interesting shots out of it. And, like, when they're disposing of Rich Texans
Yeah.
parts in acid and
Yes,
also
that was-
cutting it up with a couple of little visual jokes now and then as well. Like,
And how they interspersed like the jarring violence with beautiful shots of scenery and nature and whatnot. I think they had a really tasteful touch, despite it being the fucking Simpsons.
Yeah, so that's the thing I'm going to stand out to me is like, we've been reviewing a lot of Simpsons
We
episodes.
have.
And in particular,
you?
lately, they're indulging in these non-canonish sort of style episodes. Like, sometimes there's very stylish episodes they do that are canon and very but they are doing, like, a lot of style parodies lately.
They're getting
So
loose with it.
Yeah, the not it and stuff like that.
You know how sometimes there's signs in the episode that they've gotten bored with The Simpsons? Like sometimes in the episode they'll be giving a speech or telling a joke, and someone else will be like, "Man, this is boring. Jeez, why the fuck would anyone be watching this show?" They did that, by the way, in this episode at some point. There was a part with knives when everyone was like, "Geez, this is kind of repetitive. Geez, who would watch this shit?" But it's a trope. That's something that The Simpsons does again and again when they're like, "Man, this show isn't funny. Why is anyone watching the Krusty the Clown show?" And isn't that the writers telling us that they've grown tired of The Simpsons?
Well, in the context of this as well, I think they're doing a bit of loving ribs at the prestige television as well. And, they're in the business. They've definitely got friends that are working on this shit.
Yes, today I suppose especially they're saying, "Man, I'm kind of tired of premiere television," more than tired of The Simpsons, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think they're doing enough in this episode that, like, it does feel like a playful rib at times, but yeah, it is still like they're doing like those same jokes where even if like you're taking like, the generous take that it is just like having a gentle poke at prestige television, they've also been doing it to itself, and that's sort of the problem I have with this one. It's kind of repetitive at the same time.
Yes.
And I'm trying to put myself back into... I actually forgot to say it was first released in November 2021. So it is long enough ago that I feel like Simpsons have been more recently doing a lot of these things, but it's also definitely not the first time.
No,
either.
definitely not.
Yeah. I get this feeling like if they'd lean harder into it, if there was less Simpsons-iness, if they just went... if they just went full fucking, this is for you viewing pleasure, a premiere flick, it'd be fascinating to watch, If they didn't have to stop and throw a couple of gags in to say, reminder, we're the Simpsons, here's a couple of yucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, remember when we reviewed that Banner Check episode? And it was like, it has this out of Springfield character, it's done in this complete style of an obscure 70s cop show that no one's ever fucking seen. And it's just this weird thing where it's like, I like what they're doing, but the worst part is that the Simpsons are involved with this.
Yeah, honestly, this one kind of gives me similar vibes to that. And yeah, when we reviewed Not It, where our kind of big comment was, you're not really parodying the thing, you're just doing it again.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my complaint on this one is there's not really, I don't think there was a real solid joke telling. And if you're going to parody something, parody
That's
it.
I don't think there has to be joke telling.
And I agree. If you're gonna go full, hey, these characters, we're just gonna do more mature story in this setting.
Right now, pretend they're not the Simpsons. I don't know why they're. Yes, why not have actors that aren't the Simpsons?
If you're gonna do it 100% or make it more of a parody. But at the moment, we're kind of sitting in between, and maybe that's why I'm not fully engaged because it's parody enough to be different, but not enough to be its own thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is kind of the other problem with it is, like, I'm kind of guessing at the halfway point because I haven't seen this episode in a long time, and Disney Plus joined them together rather than
with no
had them
hint,
split up.
With no, press pause now, intermission.
You know what really would have helped is some kind of, big music cue that the Simpsons don't seem to have anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a nice, easy cut.
Well,
those were the days, my friend.
They did, and actually, this is another going into the wackiness, But, it's not a Wooger episode, so we also use wackiness to talk about, the animation.
I was a sunset. I was being a sunset.
Sunrise, sunset. I'm a chicken, Marge.
I know.
That's it. If I get stuck on anything to say, just fall back to Simpsons. It's been working for the last 8 years. They did this really interesting cinematography thingy where they had the 3 panels of things happening at the same time over the montage and the music. I thought that was also very artfully and well done.
It was beautiful. Very Spider-Verse. Made me think Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Which is maybe the wrong reference for what they're going to. That's kind of the other problem is a lot of when the Simpsons have done movie parodies, it's always been a good episode on its own, but if you know the reference, you get more from it. Whereas this one, I spent the entire episode being like, I know I'm missing something.
Maybe I should have done my homework. I wasn't told which episode this was.
He does this to us every time. He's like, we're going to watch an episode of The Simpsons. Like,
crap. No crap, baby. I want you on the seat of your fucking pants the whole time.
But that's the thing, and as we used to say back when we used to review a classic episode as well.
Once upon a time.
Oh, what are the days. you know, all these Simpsons episodes that we watched, you know, it was the thing that when we finally saw the original source, it's like, oh, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you cheeky buggers.
So one day we're gonna watch Fargo, the TV series,
Yep.
and go,
And see what Shag's crotch thinks about it.
huh.
Coming
But in
soon to
Spanish.
patreon.com in Espanol.
Google, how do you say "huh" in Spanish?
Huh?
That was French.
Yeah,
true.
that was
Google's
definitely
getting
French.
worse and worse.
Well, it's using AI now.
Yeah. How was the heart of this episode, though?
I had one note to it. Hang on.
Someone got shot in it.
Yes.
Look,
yes,
there's a
yes.
bit where Flanders says, "The harder the good, the better the man."
Yeah, Flanders
a
had a
real
pretty
line.
poignant sort of speech there.
And when he's talking about giving the money to charity, and Rod and Todd like, "No, let's buy things we like."
That was a pretty bad impression, which was exactly the impression for this episode.
Yeah,
by
they
the way.
sounded off.
Yeah,
But-
Rod and Todd were just like,
Voices
they
are
were
only
non-canon,
loosely
non-canon.
Can't argue with that.
Father,
mind.
it's
Never mind.
Sunday. Shouldn't we be in church? I'm Rod.
Hey, Todd, make with the praying already.
All right, I will.
There's the heart.
It's pretty good. Ah, shit.
But yeah, look, that was a good line. I don't know if it's theirs or it's from the show, but you know, it's fair enough because being nice is easy when it's easy. It's
Yeah,
when it's hard that it matters.
Yeah. Sorry, was that Flanders or the Sheriff Flanders?
That was
the
Senior
grandpa?
Flanders.
Yeah, yeah.
But then echoed by Flanders 2. 3.
The sequel. Flanders, Ned Flanders, Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, what was up with that Ned Flanders the first sign when they were like, hooray to him?
Because he's dedicating it to his grandfather, whose name is also Ned Flanders.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then they kind of try and play like a weird, he did that just so he could get the credit without getting the credit.
So humble,
But
but he's using someone who's also.
It seemed more like he legitimately forgot that was his grandfather.
I don't think so, man. That was him having the big flashback and being like, "Yeah, my grandfather, whose name is also Ned Flanders."
Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
This guy.
But also the heart of Marge missing her homie and slightly suspicious of Ned. But, you know, if
How
anyone
long
else
had he
had
been
told
missing at
that...
that point? How long had he been missing at that point that she fucking covered the town with flyers? By the way, that was
like
less than
an
a
evening.
day, right? Way
But he
less
wasn't
than
at
a day.
Moe's, and the dog had eaten face recently.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Santa's little
hardcore.
helper coughed up a big old chunk of face, didn't he?
Yes,
That poor dog.
she could have thought it was his face, and then everyone really freaked out.
Ooh,
Why did we
yeah.
not get into that shit, man?
Well, Rich
That's
Texan's
the reason to be suddenly searching your fucking neighborhood.
My dog coughed up a nose, and my
Yes!
husband is missing.
Yes. Oh, baby, give me that.
Well, I mean, that's the other problem with this is maybe, and the mistake of me dividing them up is we haven't seen part 2 yet. Maybe
That's fair. We've done it with all the other part 1s and 2s.
Yeah, this is where Homer turns up missing an ear and a nose.
yeah, that's exactly my point with that. Like, we did it for Who Shot Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
That would have felt weird to do it in one blob.
We do it.
Yeah. Can you imagine school kids fucking seeing this one and then going to school to guess where the corpse of Homer's gonna turn up?
Yeah. I've been like, they like completely killed a bunch of characters.
I'm so old.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
I mean, no, but that's the point.
Yeah, nah. In a way, it was a fresh reminder of what Simpsons could be back when they like leaned into their homages more. They did have a really good Pulp Fiction day 100 years ago, and that like really sits in the pocket with this one for later when we're like, what do we pair this wine with?
Yeah.
Or like the war ones, the old war movie ones, they were pretty great. The water balloon and shit.
Yeah, but about the general.
Yeah. In fact, the Simpsons-y parts of it were the worst, or at least the least grippy of your.
Well, they were the parts
Attenzione.
that didn't feel like they fit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You're saying what we're all thinking.
I try. I do breed your thought waves a lot. Get a lot of cross-reference from your crotch right now.
Poor guy.
Even their Pulp Fiction references are like still inherently like both Simpsons-y and like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the
I don't
mixture
know.
is better. Like they found the right characters to do it. It would have felt
Yeah.
weird if you had like Bart and Lisa involved in the Pulp Fiction homages.
Yeah.
You know,
That would have been
like,
uncomfortable, yeah.
yeah.
But having Police Chief Wiggum and Snake and Herman, that works.
And maybe having like I feel like Flanders is a good candidate for his place in the episode. But The Simpsons, and then it's
Oh,
also like a Marge and Homer have a tiff episode at some point.
Yeah, and mild-mannered man falls ass backwards into horrible crime is
Classic.
Coen Brothers stuff. So.
Yeah, I was thinking the whole way that they could do a really good falling down with it. You know, Michael Douglas has a bad day.
Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher has a bad day.
Directed by Joel Schumacher, surprisingly.
The race car driver?
This guy.
Snap.
This fucking guy.
It's kind of weird to do a change question with a part one that so heavily relies on its part two. Like, this is also reminding me of that rap episode, the one where they had Mr. Burns and Great Gatsby, but it was a rap guy.
I was trying to remember the Great Gatsby. Yeah,
there we go.
The part 1 and 2 on that. And I was trying to remember what the hell. I'm like, Smithers was delivering a cube of ice. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. But BT, what would you like to change about this one?
I think we already covered it. It needs to either be its own thing or more of a parody, because as it stands, it's half The Simpsons playing different characters and half not. And I don't quite know what to pull from that. That said, I would like to see more of a parody version with some laugh, because I am ultimately here for, a comedy series. But if you want to go full drama, do it, but just do it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go the opposite way and say we should lean in and have just Simpsons be in character, mise en scene the whole time. I think it was really gripping when it was like, damn, this is a story, man. There's stakes here and shit. Yes, they're all going to get shot off. I mean, it's the same as when you see Community do the Law and Order episode. They're just in bit. Yeah, they're funny, but it's mostly just in bit. They're not doing zingers. They're just leaning in. You're like, damn, that's in. Or Adventure Time is really good at doing the episode in character with, you don't have to worry about shtick, because it's just, the character's doing a character. So it is like watching puppets play puppets, but
I love a Muppets puppet story.
But it works because they're leaning into it. It doesn't, you don't have to stop and say, but by the way, we're the Simpsons. We can see that the whole time, blah, blah, blah. It's just the vehicle you're using to tell your story. Who cares? I think if we'd done a serious ep the whole way through because like fucking Flanders, man, he's so straight-laced. There must be something bubbling beneath the surface, and everyone's gotten hints of it, and it's fast. He's a great character to have this sort of fascinating, is he going to snap? Isn't he? Is he in the deep end? Isn't he? It's like, that's the beauty of Walter White in Breaking Bad, How far can you push this seemingly pristine person, and how dark is he going to look by the end of the episode? I'm so on board. And then to have the episode, every now and then we press pause and they say, by the way, it's just The Simpsons. Here's a few jokes. Ha 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 ha. Don't you remember we're The Simpsons? Right. Who gives a shit? Get on with that. Like, don't break my suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, well, especially like one of the parts that I don't like that this is non-canon is I like this filling out of Ned's grandfather as this like ultra morale cop.
Fascinating, right? Because so fascinating.
The implications for his beatnik's parents, like grandfather,
it's
Sheriff
so good.
Flanders. Yeah.
Yes.
That's something you can play with in the future.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll put a pin in that and never come back to that shit, I tell you.
Yeah. No, you're so right.
Well, even, Ned learning more humanity from his grandfather because, he sees the hippie stealing and then instead of, busting him, he gives him $1 and says, here's some bread for your bread.
Yeah.
And that's where he gets the life lesson of, the guy's, stealing, but he's not doing
But
wrong.
He's hungry.
Yeah.
He's stealing, but he's hungry. And so he pays him.
Remember, kids, stealing food isn't a crime. Yeah.
Beach doesn't make the laws, but
I should.
If more, Jesus Christ, guys, let the guy eat. Let the guy fucking eat, man.
Yeah, that's it. It's this whole idea that the job of the law shouldn't be to enforce the law. It's to restore order in chaos. In absence of order.
Give us moral lessons in soothing baritones.
Love it.
Exactly. And who better to do that than who was that again? Timothy Oliphant. Oh my God. Again, a waste that this episode is animated and he has not been able to be drawn beautifully.
I think Shag's crotch has something to say to the toilet.
Just let me go.
He jumped out with such urgency. I was wondering if he was about to throw up.
He might. We don't know.
But yes or no, would you watch this episode? Oh, wait. What would I change? B characters. Fuck the Simpsons off. Like, I know you've already got to connect to him with Homer and Flanders and he's the antagonist, but I don't buy this whole Homer like, hey, you found that money. I always wanted to find money. Blah, blah, blah. And his bitterness over that. It should be either way more complicated.
Yeah.
Or
skip that shit altogether.
Skip that shit altogether and get fucking like Skinner or someone else involved.
They
characters.
clearly were going to end up at the Simpsons house because of the wrong number, next door neighbor bullshit.
I did
so
quite
we don't
like-
need him to be like suddenly hogging center stage all the time before that.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, no, I hated Homer getting angry at Ned. That sucked. I did quite like though that they confirmed the wrong address because Homer has all of Ned's stuff.
Oh yes,
So,
yeah,
like,
no,
out the
that tracked
front,
pretty
the
good.
Yeah, the lawnmower says probably Ned Flanders and all that. Like, okay, that works.
The blanket was a bit much, but you know, fair
The
enough.
shirt he's wearing right now.
Yeah, but yes, no. Would you watch this one again?
I mean,
If part 2 is great,
yeah, if part 2 is good, I'm down to clown. I've got to say, I don't know if it's a good episode yet, but I'm enjoying it. You know, just the experience of it, man, is really beautiful to watch. It's a bit funny, but it's a good thrill ride, and everyone's fucking dying. So who knows what the fuck is gonna happen next? And that's a good feel. That's a new feeling for the Simpsons.
True. That's true.
Who knows what exciting guest stars are going to die coming up in part 2?
Not Timothy Oliphant. He's he's a grandfather who's already dead. Never mind.
You never know.
You never know.
Comes back just to die.
All right, it's time.
He's the old assassin. He's the old assassin.
He's
Ooh.
Brian Cox now.
Yeah.
Yes.
They sound the same.
Oh, no, he's aged. It's been
Sure,
since
they-
a flashback. He's aged
yeah,
1,000 years.
They spell and pronounce their names differently. but-
Brian Cox sees Timothy Oliphant who goes, ha ha ha, I remember here. But
Then they high five and kiss.
Then they Freaky Friday and become each other. Then they high five and kiss.
enough. What would we change? We're moving on to final notes. Now it's time for our final notes. Everybody's
Elliot's
final
final
notes.
No, serious drama style. I don't know what that song sounds like. Final. That's what.
Those notes are final.
Yeah. All right. There's a bit where Ned mentions, "Oh, it's all part of God's plan." Although usually that's used to justify horrible tragedies. That was all right. I do like how Ned's face was blurred except for his mustache. That was kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You can only show mustaches on cable.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we
Yeah?
haven't really talked about it, but what did you think about his romance with the Canadian lady?
Oh, who ends up being married to Mel, and then they're all like,
Yeah.
"Oh, but there's the cuckold now."
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't need that at all.
Fuck was with that? Like,
It's HBO. It's got to have some sex in there.
yeah, but I don't know, man. The whole thing seemed weirdly, suddenly tacked
Yeah.
in, and
It was.
And, you know, Sideshow Mel gives me PlayStation vibes. I don't see him as an Xbox dude.
checkmate, atheists. All right, well, that settles that. Sorry, where were you in your list?
No, but I mean, also, you know, she should have been disclosing that to Flanders, and it's weird how Christian she is, and also that. Like,
Yeah.
Whole bunch of questions, no answers. Not to kink shame any closet Superman. Was that Rick and Morty or Family Guy or?
Sure.
I don't sure.
But why was that suddenly in? Is it just a way to? And
Too many thoughts are clogging up your brain. Deep breath. Organize.
Yeah, to show Flanders almost got close to the edge here and like compromise his morals from his point of view, and I don't know.
yeah, okay.
People aren't always what
Scaring
they
him
see.
back to the straight and narrow.
I guess.
I don't think we needed that. I don't think we needed any of that. Back to you.
Might have just been a writer's room bed of, "Hey, I bet you can't get the word cuckold in here." And he's like, "Watch me, Gavin." And so Gavin watched, just like a cuckold. Anywho.
That was pretty good. Quick,
Like a
put
cuckold,
laugh track,
like a
laugh track.
Fat Tony is like rolling meatballs like they're
Yes.
the dragon ball. What's the
Yes.
dragon?
Oh,
the
those
bell ball
Zen
things. Yeah.
ball
I like that
bells.
as a background detail. I didn't like them then zooming in on the hand when he crushed
Yeah,
the meatballs.
that
Like,
was
the visual
Oh,
background was enough.
Show
No, I was,
don't
just
tell.
I was just about to say, I like how he crushes in the meatball and it turns into the cloud that transitions to the next scene. I thought that was like a nice, artful little moment of
And
the
you
episode.
two are two halves of the yin yang.
Yeah. And yet both so pale.
Yeah, well, there was also this metaphor of him crushing meatballs. It was a very visceral sort of threat
Yeah.
about what he's about to do in the next scene.
And yet he got turned into a donut. How ironic.
Indeed. There's a bit where
meat
the
donut.
debt collector guy meets up with Ned, and then Ned turns away and turns back and goes, "He's gone." It's like, "No, I was just trying to hide, but I
Yeah.
couldn't find a good place." Like, what are you talking about? You're perfectly hidden. Like, the guy didn't see you until you stood up. What is
Yes.
like Monty Python says? Don't stand up. You're fine.
Yes.
They're at like a Christian
Minefield.
fair or something, and they've got a sign that says non-functional nutcrackers. I don't know if I like that or not.
Maybe non-threatening nutcrackers.
Yeah.
I didn't notice because there seemed to be another 30s era Simpsons episode that liked to do wall of text jokes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when Simplex opened up, I don't want to dignify this with a response, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, guys, remember when we used to do wall of text jokes? Oh,
Yeah. What else? What you got?
Oh, okay, wait for this. How about
Oh my
we just
God,
a
I'm
big
on
old
my
wall of text?
Oh yeah. Like a big wall.
Oh, it'll be nothing but text, mate, as far as the eyes can see.
Oh, it might be a little too much text there.
All right, we're going to lean into that.
But it's like a bed of nails, you know? Like none poke through because they're all just even. Like it's
Yep.
We still do bits, right, on this show? Do we still do bits?
Yeah. We say reaching the 40-minute mark.
Ned has like turned into just this stupid little turn of phrase machine at certain points in Simpsons, and like the whole
Am I new to the pew? Is this how you talk?
Fuck off.
the evening. What was the setup for that stupid joke? This has been a lovely evening, like someone using
like
a spirit
the spirit level said to the bubble, this has been a lovely evening or something.
Boo! He has so
Not
many
you,
of
Beach.
these. It's like
No,
spaghetti said to the trumpet. I'm fucking covered in
God
sauce.
almighty. Who thinks that is... I mean... Someone in the writer's room still sees that as the sort of thing a folksy, homesy guy would say.
Yeah.
That's not human. That's not a human, folksy, homesy guy.
And then what Christian Girl was saying, right in the kisser. As they were making out and
Oh
stuff.
my God, the makeout scene. Holy
It's like
shit.
pow right in the kisser.
We got
Right.
focused on the cuckolding, but we forgot about the fucking makeout. Like, there was some heavy petting there.
Right in the kisser. Oh golly, gee. Oh my golly, quality. Ha ha ha.
Yes.
Oh, I say, upon my word.
The golden age of television, the golden age of podcasting.
You can't have a fucking makeout session made out of zingy one-liners like that. That's how three dumb shit podcasters would have a makeout session.
Yeah, you guys don't?
You guys want to have a makeout session right now? You guys ready? Oh, let's just...
I'd like to hear from
Hold on.
Shag's cock.
Let's just lean in and...
Si, senor.
Yeah. And so on.
BT, any other notes?
I'm worried our audience is too
I'm
aroused.
so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
Definitely putting the explicit tag on
Oh,
this
hell yeah.
podcast.
There's shenanigans going on. There's a line of Homer's like, this guy's way too weird not to be dangerous. I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
And then the debt collected guy, Fat Tony's like, you're muscling in on our territory, and puts that cigar out in his eggs, and then he just eats the cigar. I'm like, okay, that's funny.
And then, even the follow-up line, it wasn't too extra for me of, Fat Tony going, you've just eaten your last cigar. Yeah.
Guys, those were both great Fat Tonys, by the way.
It is as much.
Woo! So solid.
He's practiced. He's a one-man baby's day out.
And now it's time to rank this thing.
I know.
Love it.
I'll just see if I can do the fucking pre-ranking roll, and then I'll
Good
stop.
luck.
On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. I feel like I'm going out the more I have to do.
It's a long...
It's a lot of breath.
war talking.
If the episode is just meh, you give it the participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold. But for the best, the very best, I'm turning into
If you
Harvey
start
Feinstein.
losing, you got to do this with your fingers.
Like, just do the last one as Harvey Feinstein. That's fine.
And the best of the best, yo, give back.
Elliot.
Now you're just Zabowski. You didn't file
my
your
head.
Ed.
Give me a ranking.
Having not seen the second act, on somewhere on the Brilver border, but I think it's a hesitant bronze, silver. Maybe blurt something up A to BT.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with the bronze. I like the swinging for the fences. I do kind of wish they would pick a lane, but, what's here is interesting. And, hey, it's refreshing for The Simpsons. Again, why not? Why not give it a different thing? But, look, a part 2 could wreck this pretty easily.
Danny Rosewell.
Now, I got to say, much like you guys, but more explicitly, I think it is not right for us to rank this until we've seen the second one. But in a sort of preliminary sense, I'm feeling silver and suspecting I'll say bronze. It sort of I have to remind myself that silver is actually the third step down, not the second step. So silver, in a way, is a bronze.
You feel like you're consoling a child after they just got a bad. Now, silver's really like the better bronze.
It's the opposite. If you hate your child and they got silver, you're like, well, think about it, sweetie. Silver's basically bronze, you shit.
If you melt them down, did you know if you melt them down, bronze is actually more valuable. So really, you did great, sweetie.
Try to do better, sweetie.
You scumbag.
And that's what we're saying to part one. Try to do better, sweetly, but we're not disowning you yet. We're going to keep you in the family. We're not sending you to the orphanage with the weird Christian lady.
Well, anyway, I thought this was a really good roller coaster. I was enjoying the episode. I didn't like it necessarily, but I was enjoying it. So let's see how that pans out.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, coming up next, part 2.
Oh, snap. What?
Of a different episode.
Who Shot Mr. Burns, part 2.
Oh, my God. Please, give me that shit.
Actually, yeah, that's great.
We'll not be airing this week. This week, we're going to watch the Terrence and Phillips special.
We'll be back.
We'll be right back.
And we are back, and we just watched part 2 of a serious Flanders. But it was also season 33, episode 7 of The Simpsons. First released in November of 2021, it was directed by Matthew Fornan, and also, like part 1, was written by Cesar Mazariegos.
Five times fast.
Cesar Mazariegos.
One time fast.
BT, what just happened?
All right, so where we left off last time, debt collector guy had Homer. Marge was worried about him.
I'm so sorry. That sounded so earnest. PT, what just happened?
Yeah, he meant it. It was quite earnest. What are you talking about? Yeah, so while that's going on, Ned's all like, look, the only way I can make sure Homer's okay is to get the money back that I donated to the orphanage. He heads in and has to seduce the orphanage lady. Meanwhile, Homer managed to get out of his own accord because the, two assassins holding him are actually a married couple with some issues. Hold for a quick can open. Nice.
Crisp.
And who then die by bathtub, as we all will one day. And then he manages to escape on his own, and they do that meme from that TV show where they look at each other when they're driving past.
So good,
and
though.
then Ned crashes with the money he stole from the orphanage, and everyone's like, and then Homer tries to get him out, but in doing so, makes it look, Marge realizes he's going after the money, not Ned, but everyone else, it looks like he's saving Ned and the money and the American flag because USA. So Homer becomes a hero and Ned is shunned and, of course, still has the villain after him. So he flees and goes into hiding. It's revealed eventually that Homer is, their lifeline for the Flanders. But Marge, suspecting more shenanigans, follows him out into the wilderness and finds out that, no, he's been a good guy this whole time, even though she was mad at him for 3 years for being such a selfish prick. And then it's all solved because the villain is murdered, and this complex melodrama about how doing good things does not lead to just reward, because this world is not about balance, it's about chaos, and things just happen sometimes, and ends with but if you kill the bad guy, everything's okay, and everyone's happy.
Paige, you are good at this.
I did have my eyes open the entire time.
You do this for a living, don't you?
I wish. Patreon.com/sidequest.
Wow. Right, podcast over, ladies and gents. That was a good episode. Jolly good show.
Well, yeah, so there are parts of this I liked, and good lord, it reminds me of prestige television in the way that sometimes you get 9 episodes into a thing, and then the finale, or maybe even the last 2 episodes, just really make you feel like you regretted watching the entire thing.
Yes. Dexter, Game of Thrones. We can go on.
No. So, yes, it was beautiful, but dissatisfactory, It was like a thrilling ride, and there's so much I enjoyed the whole way through.
Oh, yeah. There was a point where you literally turned to me and said, they're doing the thing I wanted. They're making it just a serious drama.
Oh, it was so good. It was like
it was going there for a while.
When you're like, just lean into that shit.
And then it chickened the fuck out. Look, to be fair, we don't know how a series, what's this, Fargo, the series ends.
Yeah.
So maybe it has the same saccharine bullshit ending that's opposed to everything it's talked about so far. I doubt it.
Fucking, I don't want to say, but fucking like cock tease. you know
We're
what I mean?
back to cock
You know what I
holes.
mean? It's like they're promising such a good show.
Such a good
and
time, baby.
Such a good ending. And it's like they didn't have the
chutzpah.
cojones.
Because, yeah, this is the thing. This is a very, non-canon. Anything could happen. We're killing characters left and right. Gloves
That's
are
it.
off.
Why not?
And
Just
so-
fucking lean into that. Go
Yeah,
nuts.
and so when we get to the finale, there's a moment of like, oh, what is really going to happen here? Are we actually going to, non-canonically have
it's
a
like-
main character die?
You know how there's this urge to do a wrap up so that we're back to normal for next episode?
Yeah.
You don't need that when it's non-canon. You can do fucking whatever. You can stand in the fucking theater booth and gun down Hitler as the theater burns in flames. No one's going to fault you. It's non-canon.
I don't know. They're setting some things up for season 2. The relationship between the Christian lady, Sideshow Mel's wife, and Sea Captain.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how that
Boiling
pans out.
up. She's been plunging those briny deeps, if you
Wow.
know what I mean.
Oh.
Wow.
Barnacles.
Speaking of briny deeps, BT Calloway, what stands out to you for better or worse?
Look, I would like to throw to something else, but it really has to be that fuck you ending.
Yeah.
Again, this
Well.
is the genuine investment and suspense and the kind of thread of... Because that's the thing, Ned does the right thing the entire time in both episodes.
Yep.
Yes, he has to do some things against his morals to get there, but, he gets in trouble initially for donating the money. He's doing all this seducing of women and stealing of money to try and save Homer's life. He's doing the right thing. And the kind of message of it all is, yeah, that doesn't mean you suddenly win. Just because you're doing the right thing. Things just pan out the way they pan out. And the fact that it just pussies out of its own ending and is like, but then the villain dies and Ned, everyone loves Ned again and Marge and Homer are back together and everything's fine.
Not just dies, but dies by, spinning platform of ice.
It was
Again,
so good and so bad. It was so fucking dumb.
Well,
But
remember when you guys were making cartoon sounds before? This is the one that's like the legs wobbling on the ice. No, it was so cartoony and stupid.
Yeah, after so much seriousness as well.
Yeah.
But even then, the moment of the way Ned gets out of it, the guy's got him dead to rights and he's pointing the gun at him and he takes out his ledger and he crosses out the money. He's like, there's balance. So Ned's like, balance, that's what'll do it. He grabs the guy's ledger and throws it and he's like, no, the thing that represents stability in this chaotic universe. I must go on this dangerous ice to go get it back. It's like,
and then this fucking wacky bullshit shot of them spinning wildly on the iceberg. And then it pulls back and it's gorgeous. And I'm just like, man, that's a beautiful fucking
directing
shot.
is still
And
lovely.
That's disappointing,
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck did they waste this artistry on fucking garbage like what we're watching? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you use the good paints to paint dick butt.
Yes. Yes. God, what a waste of really, really beautiful. This was a beautiful episode, man.
Yeah.
What stood out to me, for better or worse, is probably still going to be cinematography, but angles and snow falling in 3D and gorgeous fucking, I'm going to say Dutch fucking angles, because why not? Who's going to stop me?
Bro, I
Fucking
won't.
Dutch all over the place, man. Just from all conceivable Dutch angles.
Look out, everybody. He's got Dutch courage.
Oh my God.
And a Dutch oven.
And it was beautiful. It really was a beautiful episode.
Yeah.
Why do we
But-
reference the Dutch so much? That's weird. Ovens, courage, angles. Sorry. Tangent, whatever.
Lettuce and
Well, yeah, and that really reminded me, of it's probably a Fargo reference, but, it also at the same time reminds me of a last episode where it is a final showdown in that moment, it's just Ned and this guy. It's everybody else is out of the picture. It's all back to these two,
What
and
started it all, what ends it all,
And yeah, to do the slow descent into the cold lake, to enveloping the bad guy,
incredible.
it's all
Gorgeous.
very prestige television
Beautiful
as well,
to
but
behold.
it's very hollow though.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Easter eggs can be nice, even though, it's sweet chocolate, but like lots of hollow. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want Easter eggs for my TV show.
Beautiful metaphor for an Easter egg.
Yeah,
man.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Sweet but hollow. My gosh.
But like, shit, man, it's a gorgeous episode. It really is all the way through. And yet, like, I'm left dissatisfied. And it's not because...
Oh, you were yelling at the TV.
Oh, man. I really was fucking yelling at the TV. I'm so sorry, guys. I got really...
Look, hey, make no apologies for passion.
I got really into it.
That is what drives the world.
Moment. And
did you have any positive from the episode, actually, that spring to mind?
Dude.
Like, yeah, ending sucks, but like, what was the part that you were enjoying it?
Like, my couching answer is the cinematography, because it was beautiful to watch, but I don't think it was a part where I was really happy with what it was doing,
Well, I mean, I'll say what stood out to me, for better or worse, was like a pretty positive moment, and one that was like just a trend of the current age of streaming. I do like when shows just have a diversion episode and, drop the main characters just for one and,
let's do something else for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what this one started out with, pretty much. Like, it was, Marge and the reporting and going to try find Homer. But then it moved into, all right, episode 5. It's about his grandpa. And then, revealing the whole, he was
where all the money came from.
Yeah.
And yeah, we thought he was an upstanding citizen, but turns out he smokes the pot bong.
Uh-huh.
It was a little...
He gets handed tray of white powder, and then there's a zoom in and an implied snort. But how was the wackiness of this episode?
Good question.
Good, really good question. Okay, during that whole standoff, when Ned's grandfather is like hiding underneath the car, and it's getting like hit with bullets, and then hit with eggs, and then hit with shuriken, and hit with a bowler hat with like that was pretty good, and I did enjoy that.
I enjoyed it. It was nods and winks all round, but it was little enough that you could forgive it. Who cares? Like, yeah, sure. Okay, there's eggs. There's a fucking nunchuck hat.
Yeah,
that was fun.
It's beautiful.
That's a good way of having hardcore violence, but softening it up just a little bit, because we are
That's
still
how you can have funny. In the serious without disrupting your. I guess it's like suspension of disbelief, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the Simpsons elements worked a little bit better in this one. Like Homer, certainly.
Yes.
Like, it did drag on a little while, but I did like Homer causing the two kidnappers to fight. And
that was wacky, but fun wacky, where they're like having marital problems, and he just has a line of like, "Whoever wins was right all along."
Yeah, as he's trying to rub up against the butcher's knife that's on the thing to
that
get free of the
best
ropes.
Relationship advice I've ever got is, if it goes through your head, say it immediately.
Yeah,
it was dumb, but it's clearly what we're all thinking. We're like, obviously he's going to set them up, right? Obviously he's going to play them off each other. Obviously there's a knife right there. And he does. And I'm like, thank God. Because usually, no, dumb shit happens instead.
Well, dumb shit kind of did happen, but it was entertaining, because then, it all leads to the house catching fire, and then they make up, and then they turn to Homer, and then, roof breaks, bathtub crushes them. And
But, let me rephrase it like this. Obviously, the house catches fire. Then obviously they make up and suddenly they're making out because they're both assassins and both blah, blah, blah. And then obviously a fucking bathtub was so fucking like, I mean, I had no idea it was coming. And yet, as soon as it came, I'm like, obviously the fucking bathtub's going to crush them both.
Well, it's weird in this one, because in the first episode, it was like, let's kill all the Simpsons characters. And then, this episode...
This one pulled everything back, this could almost be canonical, except for, the time skip and Homer's arm burns.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fine, whatever, but yeah.
But there was a lot of wackiness to be had, but how about the heart?
Let's see.
By the way, I think the Christian woman, her name was Barb, right?
Barb, yeah.
I forgot to mention it before. Yeah, I think she's played by Kristen Milioti.
Oh, okay.
I think she's the mother in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, she's having a moment. She's apparently doing well in The Penguin that I've not seen. And
yes.
She's in stuff. She's
show.
Nice.
Now on a streaming service, probably.
Yeah, probably.
This is a natural ad read.
Indeed.
Watch The Penguin.
Don't you hate going to the post office? Stamps.com. Look, there's a bit where Homer goes to meet up with Ned, and they have a moment of, Ned being like, look, I have to confess, I wanted people to know I donated that money. It was one of my name all over it. And Homer's like, look, I'm the idiot. And they have, it's a nice little reconciliation moment. Yeah. And that has a moment of comedy of like Homer being, we both suck equally.
That was Yeah.
But yeah, I
As
like
he
that.
was wearing his undershirt and driving his fucking lawnmower and living in his house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because, yeah, part one I totally didn't like, especially that Homer was involved in this. But this one I'm like, God, did it earn it? Maybe. Like,
I think at the time they had, I think so, because the implications is a lot that Marge sees Homer go for the money instead of for Ned, so that immediately breaks the forgiveness she had for him. We do the 3-year skip, and they're still together, but you can piece together really quickly. Okay, Homer used that money to open up a brake pad store. Which is a leap, and it feels a little bit burn after reading at this point.
Yes.
But you can fill in the blanks. The kids both really idolize Homer now, and, they're doing well financially, so Marge is like, okay, I will stick it out, even though there's no love anymore. You can fill in the blanks enough, and I do like that. It's that kind of dramatic, mature storytelling.
There's a few clear shots where Marge is 3/4 of the shot away from Homer and facing away, and in the next shot she's even further and facing even more away.
Storytelling through pose and
blocking.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah, that's some real fucking Breaking Bad.
Yes, absolutely.
Dutch camera angles.
They're making it so Dutch. They're making it as Dutch as
it's a
possible.
Dutch romance.
Wow, how Dutch can you be about this?
Anybody
shit?
else suddenly want a Danish?
Oh,
yoink.
And so there's this big Dutch reveal. Okay.
Just scrolling down to Urban Dictionary, and it's like 17 pages of just starting with Dutch.
Dutch things. I want to find out if the director of this episode was Dutch, because then every angle they choose is a Dutch angle.
But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Again, no. Again, that's the point.
Yep.
Yeah, the less of The Simpsons in it, the more I was engaged.
Yeah, like it did the big double flip of Marge finds a reason to forgive Homer, but then immediately he does that. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, we would not do that in a regular Simpsons episode.
Yeah, fully.
Yes, it felt forced and relying on us to forgive. And it felt like they were trying to reset for a fresh episode. But we're non-canon anyway, right? We don't need to reset for an episode. We should be trying to veer as far away from that as possible.
Yeah.
To me, it was the opposite of an ideal ending. It should end with all its bridges burnt and all its fucking Hitler's gunned to death in theaters. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. If you're going to do this non-canon episode where you started out shooting a bunch of Simpsons regular and set up a world where anything could happen.
Have anything
into
happen.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a non-comforting ending.
Yeah.
For better or worse. There was this part where Rod and Todd were trying their best to sound like old impressions of Rod and Todd. Let's be forgiving here.
Father, I've aged 3 years.
Hey, Todd, I'm a bit older now, and I got a few mustache
5 or
hairs.
6 here. Hey.
Which one am I? Rod or Todd? I don't know.
We're interchangeable.
So,
we won't get offended if you call him Rod, even though he's Todd.
But wow, I didn't expect both of them to survive that. They're setting them up as jaded believers, people who believe in God, but now I'm faded, Oh, geez. Oh, if only I'd believed in God this whole time, or something. That's leaning into your suspension of disbelief, because that's the only thing you have, the freedom here of non-canonity.
If we're going hardcore, this is the part where, the debt collector finds them both and is like, oh, look, I need to know where your father is, but I only need one of you.
Dude, someone ate someone's ear. It is as deep a dive as we can get.
But yes or no, would you watch it again?
I feel like I would, bro.
After I watch Fargo, so I get the parody a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I do want to do my homework, but also
I've heard it's a good show.
Yay, an episode that makes us want to do homework.
Well,
that's the Simpsons guarantee.
Ooh.
No, I mean, but it is a very well-regarded show that a lot of people have enjoyed watching, and I actually own season 1 of it on DVD somewhere
Why
in the pile.
are we watching that now?
It's time for our new podcast.
Fargo Index.
Go on.
Fargo, don't go there. No, I'm almost there. Maybe, it's definitely one of the better Simpsons does a thing episodes.
Should I stay or should I Fargo?
Hey,
Love it.
Wonderful. BT, what would you like to change about this episode, though?
Look, kill Ned. And then the last bit is Marge and Homer. Yes, they've got this new financial success through Homer's business, but obviously after Ned's been killed, they've taken to looking after Rod and Todd, and now once again they're in strapped financial positions. They've reset back to zero by doing the good thing, which again has kind of been a through line through all of this. Is like, yeah, the right thing is probably going to cost you something because it's hard. And as they said at the beginning, the harder the task, the better the man, or whatever it was. And yeah, look, ruthless will mean you look after yourself, but it also means you'll have an easier life because you'll have cut every connection, and this is the connections that bring you down. Better metaphor, and it feels somewhere around, the heart guts.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that plays into the whole lean into the drama of it all a bit more. Like, Danny Rosewell, what do you reckon?
I reckon that was beautiful and poignant, and I was very happy with that.
I'm just drunk enough to be smart.
Well, I'm just drunk enough to be stupid.
Hey, well, it's podcast.
So, like, I was thinking,
too drunk, too stupid. The podcast.
Just when he's about to get shot, someone yells on your left, and the portal opens up, and it's Captain America, and he runs out, and then every single Avenger's like pew 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 pew,
and then there's a Star Wars in it.
Oh God. Oh, God.
Ned looks up at the guy as he's lying on the ice, and he looks dead into the debt collector's eyes and said, "Before you kill me, do you want to hear a joke?" And the guy says, "Sure." And he goes, "Okay, so there's this talent agent, right?" And this man walks in.
Starring Springfield has just reviewed the movie about the worst joke in the world. Check it out now. It's starring Springfield.
Sorry, a thing that pissed you off that I know you've forgotten is right when the debt collector has Ned dead to rights and points the gun at him as, what is it? You ever hear the one about Lucifer and the millipede? And they start fast forwarding through.
My God. Oh my God!
I've activated his trap card.
Ladies and gents, if there's a one hot topic button that I can rely on Elliot to turn down my microphone for, I tell you, it is the writers clearly getting bored of their own shitty job of having to write shit. Oh my! Ooh, thanks, Peach.
I know you've forgotten. You want to organize some feelings? We'll fill some space.
No, I'm full of feelings about that shit. How dare they? How dare they? The nerve! Like, the unmitigated goal. How dare they say, this is me talking, writing to you, but fuck, I can't be bothered. Let's just fucking fast forward. Oh my God. You know what scriptwriters are not paid to do? You know what scriptwriters
what aren't they paid to do?
Scriptwriters are not paid to say, hey, this script is shit, and I don't give a fucking shit about it. There's nothing you can say at this point that's going to make any audience care about this character or their reaction to that character. There's nothing you can pay me to make it so. So I'm going to snort a fucking line of blow and just see what fucking goes, eh? And oh my God, I've never seen such disregard for the story. Just happened so suddenly and dramatically. They're just like, you know what? I've gotten bored of this. Click, let's change channels. Oh my fucking God.
And this
actually, that would have been a funnier joke. Because this was established as being, it's on Simflix or whatever. So that gets to the big speech, and then someone leans on the remote, and it skips through another channel. And I'm like, oh shit, go back.
Yeah.
Then you get to have your wall of text joke again and justify it. Oh my God, that's great.
How dare they?
This also implies that, Brian Cox delivered a monologue and they skipped through, 4 minutes of it.
Who gives a shit? It's fucking monologue. Who gives a shit? Fuck you, Brian.
And again, he was one of the more compelling performances of this episode.
And
I thought the assassins, it's sure,
take it or leave it. It was fine.
Look, Chris O'Dowd, the IT guy, fine.
They also could have pulled the No More Heroes trick of he does deliver the monologue, only it's sped up, and then people on the internet will slow it down. So you can hear it if you want to, but it's still a joke within the thing. At least then we'd still get the monologue.
Thanks, by the way, Beach. I did need a kickstart there.
I know, buddy. I got you back.
What would I change? Jesus. Honestly, Beach, you hinted at it before. Having one either Rod or Todd die.
Yes.
I didn't think about it, like, because I agree with you. It should be a scorched...
bleak, but
Yeah, like...
Scorched earth, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, like, because I agree with you, it should just be nothing but Ned at the end. But the idea that, like, Beach came up with before, that, like, either Rod or Todd died, like, that is somehow even more bleak. To lose both of them is just so harrowing, but have one and have him deal with it, it's just like, ugh.
Look, if you're going to hurt me, hurt me. You know?
Exactly, especially after losing a mother, then a brother, like, it's just...
Dude, have you ever heard of Studio Ghibli?
Yeah, I think I've had. We may have reviewed something on Starring Springfield, available on podcatchers right now.
I really need to know the answer to that. But before I get distracted by that,
Kiki's Delivery Service.
They are one of the greatest animators, blah, 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 of all time. I'm sure everyone listening to this already agrees.
Yeah.
So we can move on with that. There's this show called Grave of the Fireflies, which is a movie, not to spoil anything for the audience, skip ahead 36.
It's targeted at your cry button.
But it's specifically about two children starving to death in a cave. That's it. That's your movie. And, like, the lesson there is don't be afraid to pull your punches. Because that's where a fucking movie is. That's where your fucking Grammy, your fucking...
That's the stories people remember.
Yes. Like, that's the one people are scared to tell their friends, hey, watch this.
Yeah.
But when you do, whoo, right?
Yeah.
That is a solid fucking point. There is a big feeling about this that I am mostly going to forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, remember Old Boy? Remember how I don't want to watch that excellent movie ever again?
God. The answer is don't be afraid to pull your punches. And if The Simpsons was like that, if they didn't stop every 30 seconds for a little whimsy joke and a nod saying, hey, we're The Simpsons, just in case you forgot.
We're pretending we're prestige television.
Lean into it. Lean into it. Chop your fucking arm off in a cliff diving accident because you're so close to being amazing, but you're apprehensive, and that reeks. You reek of that fear of being good.
100%.
Yeah, true. Prestige television is not known for chickening out at the last second.
No pussyfooting around.
No.
Yeah, especially, like, am I remembering right? Fargo is like True Detective, how it's like anthology seasons, like...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Fargo's some real shit, man. You know, in Fargo, someone gets fed into a wood chipper.
Oh,
it is no pussyfooting around.
Oh, seriously, I hope there is a Simpsons star in Fargo because I'd love to review that on Starring Springfield.
Oh, baby.
It is a movie I have seen probably 5 times, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for me,
that's huge.
That is huge.
For something that isn't The Simpsons.
Yeah. Or related to The Simpsons in some way. Must connect. Time for our final notes.
I think we did that already.
We did. We did the theme song.
And it's time.
We're trying to figure out how to seriously, do final notes in a very serious manner. Final note.
That's not prestige television. That's procedural television.
Final notes. They're final.
We're reviewing Flanders Serious. BT, what note?
I got a bunch. Look, we both kind of groaned when it starts off with, Marge is talking to Police Chief Wiggum, and he's all like, look what they did to Fat Tony. They turned him into a donut. I'll never eat a donut again. Cuts away, cuts back. He's immediately eating a donut. It's like,
yep. Who's surprised? Everyone's surprised. Woo!
Yeah, whereas, again, the drama of him actually being like, I am not equipped to deal with these international assassins.
It should have been blurred for TV release or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a joke that kind of undone the Fat Tony getting turned into a donut joke because
which was all done off screen.
Yeah,
and now we see the picture.
And it was kind of one of the least funny options of the drawing that it could be.
They did shit with it. They did shit.
They did.
There's a news report which is like, police looking for this man who looks like a grim metaphor for the uncaring universe of an unjust world.
Beautiful line.
Yeah. This is, a lot of my early notes are quite positive, so we're going to go through some of those. Cy the Barber gets the continuity correct. So we do the flashback, and during that we have, Ned Flanders Sr., who's getting shaved by Cy the Barber, who shows up later, who's the one who's like, you're going to pay me in hair? No.
What?
If you don't stop squirming, there's going to be a little bald girl with no lollipop.
Why do I think his name was Jake?
God.
I'm under the impression that's Cy. I might be wrong. I will defer to Elliot Jay O'Neill.
I know he's the 1 hour photo guy.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Robin Williams, another frequent guest on Starring Springfield.
Hey, during the
God.
whole flashback, there's also a bit where they're talking about, these drugs are selling like meth on speed. I did enjoy that.
I didn't mind that.
And then
also in the flashback episode, the Sislak brothers.
Yes.
This is weird to me. It's just like we were saying in the last one, more B characters. Well, I was anyway. And to have Mo in a very non-Mo role and then have two... Who?
It was Mo's granddad or something, right?
Oh, surely. But also to have the Sizak brother, like, this felt weird to me and I didn't like the characters.
Yeah, well, one of them also looks like Snake's ancestor and one kind of looks like Kearney's or something.
Or Barney, like you
Barney.
Yeah. I didn't
weird.
mind the bit where, grandfather Flanders goes, hey, do you mind if I punch one of your brothers? And then Mo grandfather whatever goes, yeah, sure, take your pick.
And the other was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a moment. And every time they flash back to someone else, it was like, which Simpsons character is this the granddad of?
Yeah, that's very shoehorny, but fine. I can accept it in this. It's fine.
Very Simpsons-y.
Yeah. There's a bit where they mention how much money. It's like $176,000, and that's a lot in the current era of the 1970s.
Yeah.
Like, that was a good little line.
Especially with Simpsons these days not being great at the self-knowing gags. That one landed.
And look, a bit that I shouldn't have liked, but I did, is when they're all in this tense standoff, and they're like, hey, let's anything could trigger this tense standoff into a bloodbath, and then like the car backfires, but no one shoots, and like something else happens, and no one shoots, and Ned Flanders the first, like, well-disciplined bunch here.
Yeah.
I didn't like that it was then Mole Man going, oh, shoot, that then set it off. It's like, but everything else it worked. I want it to be something.
It's another one of those things where I don't mind the option of causing a shootout, but that just seems like the least interesting, creative / funny option. Same with the donut face on Fat Tony. And especially when there were creative options there, like when Grandpa Flanders goes, here with all your creative weapons, and I'm looking at you, dynamite nunchucks. I gotta say, I popped for dynamite nunchucks.
Yep, that is fun.
Fucking nunchucks.
Yep.
That's some like fucking itchy and scratchy level creativity. I love that.
Or
shit.
like Kung Pao or something. There's a bit where after, Ned Flanders the first takes the money, just goes, sorry, God. You can only send me to hell once.
Yes. You can only send me to hell once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying before, I liked how Homer caused the fight. One of the lines I liked that he said the most was, oh, my wife would flip out if I said something that sexist.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
That's a good little trigger, yeah.
Yeah.
And that said, during the whole flashback, I didn't like that Ned's dad fell on the debt collector's knife. Like, he's a debt collector.
Yeah.
He can stab you. It's fine. It should have just been like, oh, what are you going to do with that, tough guy? You going to stab me? Oh, you already did. I guess
no one's at fault. Everyone's the good guy.
Just a little weird. I don't know. Yeah, you have a murderer. Have him murder. It's fine.
Yep.
Look, a line that's gonna, hopefully I'll remember this, is when Ned is trying to seduce the orphanage lady. He's like, wow, I just couldn't get that spiffy bod out of my mind. Spiffy bod forever,
Spiffy
everybody.
bod.
When Marge arrives and sees Homer helping Ned, she goes, you better not be a sports podcaster. I liked that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ, Joe Rogan.
White boys with podcasts. God, aren't we sick of them?
See, we can laugh at ourselves, you know.
We're good at this. There's a bit line Ned has that just says, I've committed all the sins to get this money back. Well, except Sloth, I guess. That's fair. He's been working very hard.
Yeah, that was just like a weird little side popper. It's just like, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, I mean, 6 out of 7, but still.
It's fair. He doesn't catch his breath.
Just like the Meatloaf song, you know?
6 out of 7.
I wouldn't be surprised, like, because he's like, he did sequels for Bad Out of Hell.
Yeah.
If his sequel to 2 out of 3 ain't bad, his 6 out of 7 ain't
3 out of 4.
Just 6 out of 7 sins ain't bad.
Look, there's a bit I quite like where when Marge finds out that Homer's been helping Ned all this time, it's like, oh, that's so selfless, and you didn't tell, which kind of harkens back to what Ned originally said, which he was like, you need to make donations anonymously because it's not about the praise. That tied in nicely, so I like that bit.
Yeah, and I also liked, Homer realizing as well. It's just like, oh, yeah, you've seen, and, and it's like, oh, by the way, were you followed? And then boom, 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 boom. That was like very...
Very well. Because, he's been really careful, but the person Marge following him wasn't because she didn't know she needed to be.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's what brings everything down. Yeah, that's a great little moment.
And it's such a prestige television trope, and even like...
Absolutely.
Like having these long conversational or dialogue moments that just get
Punctuated by
interrupted
gunfire.
fucking suddenly
Absolutely.
and just brutally.
What I like is it's that moment of, that major conflict between Marge and Homer. She walks in and she's like, oh, I actually forgive you for everything. And then a second later, like, oh, we are so much more fucked.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
no.
when you thought the stakes couldn't get any higher.
Like, yeah,
Pow, pow, pow.
I'm all better with my wife, but now we're under fire.
It gets twice as exciting.
Hell yeah. It's not TV, it's HBO.
I'm out of notes.
Me too.
Let's rank this thing. BT, what would you like to rank this thing?
Okay, for the most part, I was like, okay, we could silver, maybe even up to gold if they had the cojones to finish this properly. They don't, and it's disappointing. Like a lot of things we said about the first one, it not quite being a parody, but not quite being just a direct one-to-one. They go a bit more full drama on this one, and it's great. I was really invested at that point, and then they just chicken out, and that's boring. And I still enjoyed a lot of it, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to stick with a bronze.
Danny.
It's hard, dude. Like, let me explain the dichotomy that I am facing.
Okay.
Yep.
If I look back at the episode, I'm like, dang, I really enjoyed that episode. It was beautiful. There were great shots. There was some angles. There was tension, blah, blah, blah. But if I look back at the last half hour of my life, I'm like, I was so angry. I was yelling at the screen.
Yep.
I could not stop myself from shrieking. I knew Elliot wanted me to save it for the podcast. Like, I was incensed. I was infuriated.
He was even like, because
He was miffed.
I live pretty close to Sydney Airport and planes fly pretty low around here. And, he was like, people were complaining from the plane.
I
Shags.
don't want to swear on a podcast. I'm sure this is a PG-13 scenario.
Fuck yeah, it is.
I'm trying to keep it clean here.
Titties.
And yet,
Bosoms.
I wasn't happy, man. I wasn't happy with this state of events.
Wieners.
And so, like, the problem is it's beautiful and
us.
it's gorgeous. It's got this tension and it's got a slew of characters and threads and through lines and it doesn't deliver on any of that. It leaves me so jarringly inert. It's got all this potential to be exciting and thrilling and conclusive, and yet nothing happens. Like,
And you are filled with impotent rage.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me. But I don't think this delivers on the promise of what it's setting up. It's really good at setting up.
What would you like to rank it?
That's what I was going to say. That's what I wanted to say.
I forgot that was the question.
Right?
No, I'm extracting out of all that. I'm taking the very direct line. It does not deliver on its promise.
That's the thing.
This is called a serious Flanders. We are told from the very beginning of the murdering of Rich Texan, gloves are off. We are doing something different, and it doesn't.
That's the thing. I was left with a big sense of disappointment. I was excited by this movie. This as a two-parter, this movie, you know what I mean?
Limited series. Yeah.
Limited series. And it did promise big things. It was giving all the usual Hollywood signs that all the gloves are off, that anything goes, that anyone could die. Oh my gosh, this is exciting. Anything goes. And it goes into the second half with big potential.
Yep.
And doesn't give you any larger progression than, oh, by the way, we all make it out and everything goes back to normal.
Yep.
You're waiting for me to say color, aren't you? I can look at you in the eyes and say, like, why is he
They're
just
not all
rambling?
colors. You don't see participant on Dulux.
I mean, I kind of want to. What kind
Like, by the way, I wrestled with this when I was like doing the colors for the rankings on the spreadsheet, and I went with purple for participant. Like, do either of you have like what is it, synesthesia? Like,
No.
what color would you imagine if you saw a participant?
What shade of purple are we talking?
Dark purple.
Like, are we talking more blue or more red?
Red bordering on a brown purple, but like
Okay.
not quite all the way.
Now,
brown.
I need you to factor in the fact that I'm colorblind.
I mean, I
All
just
right,
could
all right.
pull up the
Let me
spreadsheet,
cut
I
in
guess,
just quickly here.
on the
Yeah.
SimpsonsIndex.com.
Look, purple is associated historically with
Royalty.
Salt and vinegar.
royalty
Oh.
No, royalty is the color of emperors.
I love that you're
empires,
right. I love that.
Salt and vinegar. Fucking.
Because original is blue and salt and vinegar is, but he is 100% correct, folks.
The
All
chicken
right.
is green, too.
Yeah.
These are facts.
The chicken is green. The chicken is green, you motherfuckers.
Facts don't care about your feelings. Chicken is green.
Cheese is yellow and chicken is green.
Boys.
He's right, people. Let the man speak.
You know the
Let him
meta
cook.
has stopped fact checking. I'm distracted suddenly. Jesus Christ.
Like, I might just
All
jump
right.
in here.
Dude, please do.
Jumping in on your own podcast.
Fucking dare you, piece of shit.
Because the
Trying to
overall...
censor us.
Because the overall landing, I don't think everyone here agrees, wasn't stuck. The overall landing was not
No,
stuck.
that is the most disappointing of the
I
whole
did
thing.
not feel satisfied at the
there
conclusion.
but there were other elements that landed, like the Homer-Ned friendship. I'm like, fuck me,
Yes.
it got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then the thing with Barb and being a javelin enthusiast, I don't know
Yeah.
what you call a javelineer, and then that played into the car crash and led to a cool shot where the javelin goes through the car and also like pierces the arm strap of
And
the
for a second,
money
I'm like,
bag to the
is
car.
that- for a second, I'm like, is that going to
Dog.
impale Ned? And the fact that I genuinely
Yeah.
believe that might happen.
Dog, why did not that happen? Like, Ned could have gotten away with some sort of injury. He could have had, like, slam. Why did that not go through his shoulder or his meat cheeks or something?
Meat
And-
cheeks.
Yes, because, I mean, he doesn't have to do any acrobatic shit until the end of
Yeah.
the movie. He can just be injured.
Yeah.
Why isn't he just injured and stumbling
You know,
on?
and they do that thing with
love when they're injured and stumbling on.
Yeah, and when the villain like jabs that exact spot.
Dog,
Yeah.
you know when Die Hard has to walk
Metaphorical.
on glass?
Yeah.
When Johnny Die Hard, you know when Johnny Die Hard has to walk on glass.
You're Mad Max. You rock. Do you know Die Hard?
But yeah, and then Homer's like burnt arm looked cool, and
Oh
that
my
was a good bit of design.
Like
and
savage.
And they
like
did
him,
not lean into that shit at all.
Yeah.
Why? Why do they give him such a cool design change and then not do shit with it?
No, that led into his whole hero persona that then
Yeah.
Marge was resenting.
People
and
want
then,
to take a photo with a scar.
Yeah, and that's why the Ned stuff landed. But then, yeah, the ultimate fucking final episode of this like didn't land for me. And like a late minute, what would I change? I might have even made this a 3-episode fucking
Whoa,
thing.
it's too late for that. How dare you?
But like, I don't know. It's again, it's like what you were saying about Scorched Earth before, you know, or Hurt Me before. It's just if you're gonna go there, then fucking go there.
Yes.
Like 2 parts. Like Simpsons have done this a lot at this stage. That's uninteresting. A 3-part fucking full diversion. Like
Yes.
Anyway, I'm giving it a bronze. I had highs, I had lows. It's a bronze. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is like hangover playlist fucking shit. Like, it's interesting to that, but like nap at various points and your like your mileage will vary, I think, is the ultimate thing with this.
Get progressively more drunk.
Hey, look, it's not even one of these things where I think the Fargo, like, if I did my homework, would improve it.
Yeah.
Like,
To be fair, I never felt like I wasn't understanding because it was a parody. It was more, I know there's more to get from
Yeah.
this.
Well, the thing is, I was angrier in the second one, but I feel like it elicited more of a response.
That's
you
true.
know?
You were led higher up to
Yeah.
fall further.
Like, in a way, I think the
Fully.
second one had more to offer. I think that is the silverier episode. It's just in comparison. Oh, wait a second.
He
Hang
thought of
on.
something.
Hang on. Can I go participant bronze? That feels
you wanna
better.
you want to retroactively change the last one?
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel much better with those two.
tradition dictates we call Jordan at 3 a.m. to change any ranking.
How late is it now? I've got his number
it's
somewhere.
within the same podcast. I feel like that's clause like 1B.
Oh, I
you know,
want to
or
bother
something.
Jordan.
So in part 1, you gave silver.
I was preemptively suspecting a silver. I was
Yeah, I mean, he did.
anticipating silveriness.
Oh, dude, if this fully stuck the landing and, like, say it was a gold, like,
Yes,
I
you
was
know what I
like,
mean?
I probably would have moved that up to the silver. Like, if this
If
bit
it
was a
was
failure,
worth it.
Yeah.
if this was a failure, it wouldn't have changed bronze for
I
me.
think that's fair, 'cause even-
But, yeah.
if, like, the first part of this, you did even say, I don't know how to rank this without knowing how it ends. So it's
That's
fair enough that you want to
exactly it,
change it
man.
in retrospect. I think that's fair.
All right. Well, that retroactively changes part 1 into a dull bronze and part 2 into a unanimous bronze.
Oh my
Unanimous.
God!
Danny Rosewell, thank you so much for joining us inside Quest Studios tonight.
Elliot Jay O'Neill, it's been a pleasure. Let's do it again soon.
Where do you want people to find you? Dox yourself.
Well, I'm Danny Rosewell, Danny Rosewell. I'd probably go to TikTok and search out Danny Macabre. Although
Macabre.
I'm on YouTube and remix.audio is where my albums are.
And how many albums do you have, dude?
Christ, man, somewhere between 14, 15, possibly
The creator
16.
doesn't know. That's how
It's-
many. All
we're-
for free. Holy shit.
Many gifts to give. Enjoy them all.
What remix are we putting on the end of this Danny Macabre podcast?
Oh my God, how good was the last one? I mean, usually
Oh, dude,
I
the one
throw
that
the
you
deep
like
ones,
rushed home,
but-
the Journey one? What was that?
Yes!
That one? Is that
yes!
That was spicy.
Don't
Yeah.
stop. A
Hell
little more
yeah.
of my journey to justice. Don't stop.
I'll
Or
put a
somewhere
little
between.
teaser of that music at the end of this podcast. And as always, your plugs in the show notes. And BT, what else can they find in the show notes?
You know what? If you've followed along with this at all, you probably like movies and The Simpsons and stuff. You can check out Starring Springfield, the show where Elliot and I review movies that star the cast of The Simpsons in like their other roles, sometimes like physical performance. What the hell?
Yeah.
Huge variety of movies from that. It's so much fun to make that show, and that is possible because of all our wonderful heroes at patreon.com/sidequeststudios, where you can unlock over 200 exclusive podcasts right now. There's a huge variety of stuff we do there. So if you want more of all this nonsense, and that's where you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Me and BT are talking about the stuff we like. We're pouring through the Simpsons DVDs. Lots of fun to be had over at Patreon. And also, you get to be the one that chooses the movies we review on Starring Springfield. That is your right if you sign up to the Patreon. Go check it out, patreon.com/sidequeststudios. But for now, that is the Simpsons Index for this week. Thank you once again, Danny Macabre.
Moi, love you, etc. Bye.
BT, thank you very much.
Good night, everybody, and look after that spiffy bod of yours.
Oh.
Spiffy.
All right, and I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. We're also on social media. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on Threads. Links for all that and more are down in the show notes. Lastly, please consider giving us a 5-star review on the podcasting app of your choice. If you had a podcast, we'd give you a 5-star review. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
All that glitters is not gold.
Or is it?
Or could it be?
On this 5-part podcast series, we'll investigate.
Is all that glitters gold? Who is right, Smash Mouth or Zeppelin?
On our new podcast, Hey Now, You're a Pod Star.
Just dissecting All-Star one line at a time.
Oh my God, I'm so on board.
Who once told him?
The well was going to roll him? What does that mean? Roll. To roll. And be a rock, but not to roll.
The Macquarie Dictionary defines
Rolling.
to roll. My microphone's come unplugged. Hang on.
The mic became unplugged.
No, just the headphone.
Oh no! And
Oh, no, it's all gone wrong.
and now we're going to hear from Shag's knee.
What language does it speak? Dutch?
It's a Dutch knee. It is stuck in the cord. Bring up that side through the. Yep,
okay,
there you go.
yep.
I got this.
Yeah. Nice. Let's see. There's a bit
Your
after...
first headphone rodeo.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Imagine a rodeo where like it was a tiny little horse bucking on your head.
I have questions, but
I
later.
don't know. That's just what Shag looked like when trying to put the headphones on.
Ow.
But Ozzy went on and did a great show.
All right. There's also a bit with...
Also reviewed on fucking.
I was
Sorry,
going to plug... No, it's too tempting. It's too good. So many movies on Starring Springfield, available now on podcatchers everywhere and patreon.com/sidequeststudios.
But if I had to describe Danny Rosewell with like cheeseburger memes, he gets like one song and then another song of a very different genre, and then does the "now kiss" meme.
Jesus Christ, Grandpa.
I think it'd be like, when you have a cheeseburger and you're like, I could eat another cheeseburger. That's like his music now.
You know when you've had one cheeseburger and you had two cheeseburgers.
I mean, too many syllables. You know when you've had one beer and it feels like you've had 2 beers?
Oh, man. Are we
That's a
throwing
tune.
back to jokes that the audience doesn't even know anymore?
Look, Ryan Duncan gets it.
Hey, Ryan Duncan.
Hey, Ryan Dunk.
Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. We took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, a smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting, walking down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people, living finding motion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill. Playing anything to roll the dice. Just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues. Oh, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting, up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Streetlights, people, living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on. Streetlight people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlight people. Don't stop. Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. She took the